Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final episode of Season 1 of Career Chats with Aaron. I am your host, Aaron Williams, and today I am here with
Cathy Awwad.
Well, thank you for joining, Cathy. And tell me, what's your role here?
Sure, Aaron. Thank you very much. Well, I am the President and CEO of the Northwest Regional Workforce Investment Board, and it's my pleasure to be your guest today on the last episode of this season.
Awesome. Well, now we're going to start off, of course, the final icebreaker of this season. So this icebreaker is, if your job were turned into a reality show, what would it be called, and who would play you in this dramatized version?
So I think Jamie Lee Curtis should play me.
Yes.
Okay. And I think it would be called You Can't Be Serious.
Okay.
Because in the course of a day, some of the things that we run into here at the Workforce Board professionally and some of the things that I run into personally, I think people would be hard-pressed to believe.
Okay.
So it'll be fun. Jamie Lee Curtis.
I could definitely see that, yeah.
Yep.
Wonderful.
So I just want you to know, I thought about that.
Wonderful actress, yeah.
Yep, very good. I liked her in I don't know if you watched the Hulu series, The Bear, but she's in that. And she's a little nutty in that, and that's why I think she'd be a good job.
I knew her from the Halloween movies, yeah.
Yep.
Yes. All right.
Great.
So, our first question is, how did your journey in workforce development begin, and what brought you to this field?
So, Aaron, I'm on my third career. This
Wow.
is my third career. And someday I'm going to figure out what I want to be when I grow up.
Wow.
So, when I was in high school, I wanted to be a doctor. And so the closest thing I could get to that was I got into pharmacy school. And so I am a pharmacist, a registered pharmacist. I've worked as a pharmacist since I was about 24 years old. Did that. And part of being a pharmacist, I was a community pharmacist. And in one day walked the mayor of Waterbury, then Mayor Mike Bergen. And I had read in the newspaper that there was an opening on the Board of Aldermen for a Republican. And I said, Mayor, did you know I'm a Republican? And he looked at me and he said, I buy drugs from a Republican? Because he was the Democratic mayor. And I said, yes, sir, you do. I said, I understand you have a Board of Aldermen opening. I'd love to be on the Board of Aldermen. He scratched his head, picked up his prescription, and out he went. A couple of weeks later, I got a call that he wanted my resume and that he was going to appoint me to the Board of Aldermen. I thought, okay, that was easy. So I get on the Board of Aldermen in 1993. Through the year 2000, I was an elected official here in Waterbury. And in 2000, I left the Board of Aldermen to become the Chief of Staff to Mayor Giordano.
Oh, wow.
That was a short-lived experience. I was there for 10 months, at which time I was responsible for overseeing the then Greater Waterbury Workforce Investment Board. So we had oversight of the Workforce Board. Long story short, the director at the time ended up leaving, and I became the interim director of the Workforce Board while I was still the Chief of Staff. So about 8 months later, the state said they really needed a full-time director. And I said, okay, I'll go over there and be the full-time director. So I left the mayor's office and became the full-time director here. And that was 24 years ago in January.
That's incredible.
So that's how I got here.
Wow. That's incredible. That's a big journey right there.
Yep.
And you said this is your third career, right?
This is my third career. So I was a pharmacist.
Yep.
Then I was full-time the Chief of Staff to the Office of the Mayor. And now I'm here at the Workforce Board. I still practice pharmacy. So I have two careers, but this Workforce Board, which I've been at 24 years, pharmacy is very rewarding, community pharmacy, but I found a lot of very rewarding moments in the last 24 years here, helping folks find their niche in a career path, getting a youth started on their career journey, like you with yours as a voice actor, and helping adults, just find what's next in their journey. The Workforce Board motto here is first job, next job, best job. And we really believe in that. We help people get their first job and then move through career ladders. And it's very rewarding.
Wow. Yeah.
Yep.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for telling me that. That's
quite a story, huh?
Yeah, we definitely.
Yeah.
I'm sure you all. I'm sure you all are loving that. Like go ahead and take a look at their website. Follow them. Like you have Facebook, right?
We have Facebook, Instagram. We're on LinkedIn. We have Amy Fellows does all of our content. It's really good stuff. Spur up to the. We tried TikTok. Got away from that. Didn't think that was appropriate. So I did do one TikTok episode, and when my adult children said, "What are you doing on TikTok?" I thought, okay, that's all I needed. We didn't do TikTok anymore.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Although it's a pretty hotly followed, platform.
Yeah,
so.
TikTok is big. Like even if you upload one little video, then it's going to be going crazy.
Could be viral.
Exactly.
So it's all good stuff, though.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. All right. So now what's something you're incredibly proud of that NRWIB has accomplished in recent years?
So I think that our growth of programming and our ability to impact daily lives. We've got some great programs we're doing for job seekers, putting people into careers in construction, manufacturing, healthcare, really helping people find their niche in employment that allows them to grow their career, but also earn a sustaining wage and be able to raise their family, pay their bills, and have the opportunity to enjoy going to work every day. You and I come to work every day. We love what we do. I think there are folks out there that don't necessarily have that opportunity. And as we can continue to provide opportunity for people to find, to love what they do is very important. And I think it's something we should be proud of.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Like 100%. You, right?
Yeah.
The voice actor.
Yeah. Like to quote one of my favorite voice actors, Peter Cullen, if you love what you do, you won't work a day in your life.
Correct. Correct. There's another adage, do what you love what you do, right?
Exactly.
I don't know where that came from, but I believe in that.
Yes.
So, and if you like it enough, it's not really work. To your point.
Yeah. You have a lot of fun with what you do, and that's good.
We have a good staff here. I'm very fortunate to have a lot of good people around me as the leader that I respect and regard, not so much as a boss, but as a coworker. And I do try to treat my coworkers with that respect. I try to not have that hierarchy. Sometimes you do have to do that, but I think if we're all working together, way more can be achieved.
That's great as a leader as well. Like,
thank you.
Like, because leadership, it's not just about bossing people around.
Correct.
There's more to it.
There is, Aaron. It's about providing a vision. It's about encouraging people to see that vision and working together as a team to get to that vision.
Agreed. And as I tell the audience every episode, write it down, people. Write that down. Keep that in your mind. You'll be doing well in your life.
Recipes for success.
Exactly. Yep. There you go.
Yep. It's a recipe book of success.
All right. So now, how do you approach innovation while still staying rooted in NRWIB's mission? So
I think one of the things that's really important is to be able to see the big picture. Mm-hmm. Not only to see the big picture, but to see how, if I move the phone over here, is that going to impact the video? Like to see the big picture, right? And to see how every little piece comes together to form a whole. And so while we're seeing the big picture, it's the ability to be innovative and maybe stretch that elastic band a little bit, so long as it doesn't break, right?
Yes.
So let's stretch it to its limit without snapping it. That allows us to maybe do something or see something different. And so the part about working with the team here, encouraging staff to bring their ideas to the table, because I don't have all the answers, and how they see things might then spark an idea in me or in you as to how to do something different or better to be able to reach a customer or a student or somebody at a different level. So I think it's really the ability to see the big picture and not be afraid to think outside the box.
Yeah, that's a great idea, especially in terms of development or in production of whatever you have to do to accomplish your assignment or your mission.
Right.
So yeah, that's good.
I think for all of us, it's problem solving in any job. We reach a point where like, oh, well, now what do we do? So that ability to problem solve while still being able to focus on the big picture is something I hope that we can help people develop, because then they can solve as they are in their careers or in their personal lives. They meet a barrier, instead of being, blocked by that barrier, they figure out a unique way around it.
Okay, yeah, I agree. What's one legacy you hope to leave personally or professionally?
So professionally, I really hope the legacy is more for the agency than myself. As a team here, I think that I'd like the agency to be recalled as having made a difference in people's lives on a personal level, that people can say, yeah, that agency really helped me. For a community level, that they can look back and say that service agency was able to coordinate and be collaborative and have an impact on people's lives in a positive fashion, and that we really made the right choices. We're publicly funded. We're very careful to make sure that the money that we spend is meeting the mark in terms of really providing assistance to those that need it the most. We have a low administrative overhead, but again, the agency's legacy is way more important than any personal legacy I have here as its leader. I think I've done a good job, but I've always lead with we and us and things like that, where it's the agency that's being recommended. For myself personally, as you and I were talking off camera, I have 4 adult children. Very proud of them. My hope is that someday when it's all over, I always kid my friends, make sure the tombstone said she was a good mother.
Yes.
I tried to give them what they needed. You and I were chatting. I operated from the what my children needed, then came what they wanted.
Yes.
Was before what I needed and then what I wanted. So putting my kids first, making sure that they had the tools to be successful, and they are very successful. I have 4 very successful children and very proud of them. But and for myself too, within our community, I would hope that when people look back on my service to our community, that it's one of respect and that I at least tried to make a difference.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that's wonderful. I mean, I may not be a parent, but that's wonderful for a parent to do that. Same thing with my parents. Like they support me. They always make sure I get the needs and the wants, so that way to make sure that I have a wonderful life. So thank you, Mom and Dad. Love you.
Yep, they're doing a great job.
Yes.
Congratulations. Aaron's a fine young man, and I can't wait for him to be doing voiceovers for Disney movies, right?
Disney, so many things. Like during my time in YouTube and other things outside, I've done over 100 or other different kinds of voices throughout the years, and like from Disney or the Transformers, to Star Wars, so many characters.
That's great.
And I've also of course, my regular sounding voice I provide for other characters or narrations. So that's wonderful. And I read books to little kids in elementary schools. So
that's great.
It's so much fun. That's
great. Well, you two are already giving back to your community if you're reading to the students in the schools. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
All right. So now, what motivates you to keep showing up and doing this work even on the hard days?
That's a great question, because the days lately have been pretty hard. There's some budget cuts. There's a lot of concern. This week, the Job Corps centers across the United States are closing. Students are being sent home. I think what makes me get up and come to work every day is the pursuit of helping students like that. It's literally a tragedy that these Job Corps students are being sent home. So this late last week, when we got notified of it, and into this week, staff and I are reaching out to the Job Corps Center in New Haven to say, who's coming back to our area? How can we help them? What programs can we get them into? that's motivating, right? That's the challenge. That's the hard work.
Yeah.
That's the hard circumstance that creates the hard work, but has the reward of helping a student get reacclimated back here or to whatever community they're returning to, making sure that they have the opportunity to find another occupational skills program because they were at Job Corps for a reason. And how do we help them fulfill their goal? So, the personal satisfaction, I enjoy the people I work with coming to work. There's a great team here. We have an office camaraderie. We tease each other. It's, it's a good relationship. We care about each other. How can we help each other, lift each other up here in the workplace, but translate that out into our community, I think is really important. And I love it. I've been here 24 years and every day there's something different and new challenges. Some days the challenges are a little much, but we have a good team and we think them through and we coordinate and share ideas. I think that's the best part. I might have an idea and see things one way. Somebody else might have one and see it a different way. I'm always open to hear that. Try to be open-minded, but the motivation is really just to get up and see how we can do better each day, better the next day.
And that's the power of teamwork right there.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
When you're willing to be open and listen, I may not have the best, like we're sitting in the new conference space that we designed. Staff picked out the paint and we put the color scheme together. It was a group effort. Right now the walls are a little stark, but we'll get that taken care of.
I do love that paint, that nice little blue color.
Yep, it's a color that we tried to pick colors that would be reflective of our logo, quite frankly, but that present an influence of calm atmosphere and one that's engaging. Right, you want to be engaged when you're in this space.
Yeah, that's why blue's my favorite color because it's very calm. Like now, some people say blue would also mean sad, but that's
I don't think so.
No.
You and I have that in common. Blue is my favorite color.
Yeah.
In my home, if you walked into my home, everything is blue. Furniture, everything is blue. So it's in my closet. If you were to slide it open, almost everything in there is blue. Different shades of blue, and it's in very regimented. So,
there you go.
Yep. You've got your blue on. I've got my blue
there you go.
on. There we go. So it's good, but yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So, and the last question is, so what's the one task you gladly never do again if you could delegate it forever?
So I was thinking about this driving in. One of them is work related, where it took us almost a year to do it. We had to go get signatures across every community in our region to move the agency forward. And it was rewarding in that we got to meet a lot of people, but it was politically charged. And so I guess I struggled to see how politics could invade the opportunity to help people. We overcame it. This was way back in 2019 we did this. It was a lot of work. It was important work, but it was something that if I never had to do it again, it wouldn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's not being disrespectful. It was just a big task. It was important because without all those signatures, we couldn't continue our mission, but it was a lot.
Yeah.
And, the other thing I would never want to do again is with budget cuts, you have to make personnel decisions. And it's very hard to sit with someone and say that there's no money to continue their employment after a certain date. Those are very, very hard conversations. In fact, we've had them recently here, but I tried to take a different twist this year when we did it. I sat with people ahead of it. I didn't wait till the last minute, and we're working with the staff here that we're going to have to separate from, and we're trying to find them opportunities before they leave so that we can find them what we call soft landings. And so that's also something I don't want to ever have to do again, but it's the nature of public funding.
Yeah.
So one is kind of a ha-ha about getting all those signatures, and the other is very, personal in terms of having to share with someone that you're not able to continue their employment.
No, that's understandable.
Yeah. But we're working there. We're working hard to get everybody placed before the end of June.
That's good. That's what I like to hear.
Yep, we're getting there.
Keep moving.
And so, how about you, Aaron? You answer that one. What's something you've had to do that you don't ever want to do again?
Oh boy. So now, are we talking about like personally or
anything.
professional? Ooh. So now, educational wise, like this is actually recent.
Mm-hmm.
So there was this research paper I had to do for U.S. history.
Okay.
And it had to be something that happened in Connecticut.
Okay.
It can't just be anything that's outside. So it has to be an arguable research paper.
Okay.
So what I searched up, historical events, and I saw the flood of 1955,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, okay, I'll give that a try. And it looks really interesting to write about, and I wanted to write about how the infrastructure
Failed.
and failed, and how the improvements really
Mm-hmm.
helped to prevent future floodings.
Okay.
And everything was going smoothly until I came across a barrier, and it was like, I'm looking it up on Google. I'm looking in the library, the database, and I'm like, there's not much about the infrastructure improvements. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that is strange. There should be plenty. So here's what happened. I went to the Naugatuck Library because I live in Naugatuck.
Yes.
So I went there. Not much.
Okay.
So I went to the Silas Bronson Library. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
there's got to be something, especially since they have like the newspaper articles.
Right, on the microfiche.
So we looked. I'm like, there's some, but it's vague. So it's like, how the heck could there be not much information? So I took what I had, and I did my best to write the paper
Mm-hmm.
as much as I could about it. And I did get a good grade. I got like a 75 on it. It was decent, but it was
hard.
It was so torturing. I'm like, how can this be so hard to find that stuff? Like,
right.
It's one of those things where there should be plenty of information about the improvements of the infrastructure.
Yeah. It's funny that you bring that up, because I remember, of course, I wasn't around for the flood. I was born after that.
Yeah.
So, but I do remember that there's a dam up in Thomaston that they
Mm-hmm.
made that's part of that was supposed to help that. And thinking, had you and I had this discussion before the paper was due, maybe if you Googled the Army Corps of Engineers, because I think that's who might have been behind a lot of the projects.
Right.
So, but yeah, you would to your point, you would think there'd be a lot of stuff about how they fixed it so it wouldn't happen again.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But at least I got a decent grade. So
yeah, well, that's good.
But hopefully this doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
Now with you, there's a video I did for YouTube. It was during my early days of doing YouTube, and I was because my channel the audience is for both kids and adults. So I make stuff for adults and I make stuff for kids. For kids, you've heard of Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yes, absolutely.
That was my childhood, and this year marks its 80th anniversary. Actually.
Really?
And because back in 2020 it was 75 years. So
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to go back to that childhood because Thomas was such a special kid show that a lot of kids, like when we grew up,
Mm-hmm.
it was something that it stands out of all kid shows. It was simple, it was slower paced, it was also mature, it gave really good morals, and the characters were so relatable. So I wanted to go back to that for kids, so the kids
Mm-hmm.
can get those morals. Because nowadays, I look at kid shows nowadays, some of them are very, they talk down to the kids, they're
kind of shallow.
Yeah, shallow. Yeah. And I don't mind it if it's always okay if it's silly, but I've always wanted it to be a show that kids can enjoy, but also take a lot from.
Mm-hmm.
So I made my own Thomas show for the kids, bringing back that same feeling as it was. Because nowadays Thomas it's like a cartoon now.
Right.
I'm like, that's not Thomas. That's not. So, and there was one episode I was making, and it was meant to take place during the nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
And I made it was a Halloween episode, and I made the stupidest mistake by using these little candles as like the lights.
Okay.
Because it was so dark,
but that was pretty ingenious to think to use the candles.
Yeah, and it does work well for Halloween, but going back, it's very hard to see. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely not going to be, I'll
figure something else out.
I'll do my best. And I did improve when it came to the nighttime stuff. So
Great. That's awesome.
But yeah, it was fun, but it was also pretty, it definitely aged at that time. So
I remember Thomas the Tank, they used to have events where Thomas the Tank would come to Waterbury and you could ride the Thomas the Tank engine and it would go to Thomaston and back. I think I'm recalling that correctly.
Yes.
It was very, very, very popular at the time with the kids.
That's a show I still remember. Like, even growing up, I still remember all the characters, the episodes, the stories. Like, it's insane.
It's funny because you're remembering Thomas the Tank, and if you were to say to me something from my childhood, and I'll say this if anybody's listening, there was a show called HR Puffin Stuff.
No, never heard of that.
Look that up. And the character, the villain in the character was Witchy Poo.
Witchy Poo.
It was quite a. I'm going to challenge you to watch it, and when we'll catch with each other. It's definitely on YouTube someplace.
Okay.
So that was the Saturday morning cartoon, HR Puffin Stuff.
All right.
So it was good. So
I think the fun part, especially with Thomas, is the narrators. Like, they got Ringo Starr.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow!
He was the first narrator, and then in the U.S. they got George Carlin.
Okay.
And then after Ringo Starr in the U.K. they got Michael Angeles. I don't know if you've heard of him.
No.
But he's a great narrator. He's been narrating the show from 1991 to 2011, making him the longest running narrator. And then meanwhile in the U.S. Baldwin joined in.
Okay.
And then in 2008, they got a special guest to do like a movie, Pierce Brosnan.
Really?
Yeah. So
okay.
And listening to when the narrators are being interviewed, they're talking about the show. It's like, it's so crazy how Thomas has so many celebrities as the narrators, and it makes me wonder that they really love the show, and because it's so unique. Like, because when Ringo was asked to be a narrator, he declined it because, and this was during the 1980s when it was all like Star Wars or He-Man. So Ringo thought kids wouldn't be interested in these talking trains until he read the books, because Thomas was created by books in 1945. So he read the books and he was amazed of how different it is. Like, it's not one of those things where it's not like a cartoon train that jumps off the track and does all that stuff. It feels like it's realistic, but it's also fun and very simple that kids can enjoy.
Get the message from.
So Ringo agreed to join in.
That's great.
So it's wonderful. And
I had to do a lot for the Thomas the Train reputation too.
Yeah,
probably sparked some more interest amongst parents.
Yeah, parents as well, and especially as a Thomas fan myself, and creating the show for the kids, bringing back that magic that Thomas had back in the.
Good for you.
Yeah, so it was really good, and of course, what's fun about, because I'm also the narrator as well. I do all the character voices.
Yeah.
That's the fun part right there.
And so you can change your voice with different pitches and things like that.
Hello, Gordon. It's Thomas. Oh, little Thomas. Edward, can you shut him up? Oh, Thomas, leave Gordon alone. All right. Come on, Percy. Let's go. All right, Thomas. Let's shunt some freight cars in the yard.
That's great. Oh my goodness. Good for you.
So yeah.
That's great. I have a little granddaughter. I'll make sure that we tune into your YouTube so they can watch.
Sure, of course.
That'd be great. That's awesome.
So yeah, but
So we're gonna wind this down. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I just gonna say, as we start to wind down season 1, and this is the last interview, we're hoping that you're going to spend some time with us this summer. We have a new program we're starting, and we'd like you to help us catalog the journey of some of our participants. So we're very excited about that.
Yes.
And I know you want to wrap up here, but I'd like to just say to the audience, watch out for season 2, because we'll be back. Aaron will be back bigger and better. It's hard to imagine better. We're going to do something really special for next season.
That'd be a good tagline for that.
Bigger and better?
Bigger and better.
Yeah. So what else can we talk about today?
Well, to wrap it up, since you're the director, the president, what advice would you give to the audience about leadership?
I think that one of the things, there's different types of leaders, but I always tried to aspire to be a leader that was an inclusive leader, that it wasn't a top-down type theory, that, we can work together as a team. And in the end, I view my leadership responsibilities as taking responsibility for the outcomes, but I think how we get to those outcomes has to be a team effort. So it isn't it's we. And I just really believe in having everybody have an opportunity to express their belief. I think it's my responsibility to try to sort through all of that and come up with the best collaborative plan moving forward.
Yeah.
And if it works, that's great. We take responsibility. And if it doesn't work, then it's my fault. Right? So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful advice. Well, Cathy, thank you for joining in for this, for the season 1 finale.
Thank you, Aaron.
And I hope you all enjoyed the final episode of the first season of Career Chats with Aaron. Don't forget, in the description below, take a look at their website, their Facebook, and the links will be in the description below. And I'll see you all in season 2. So don't forget, keep learning, keep growing, and as Optimus Prime would say it, hold on to your dreams. The future is built on dreams. I'll see you all next time.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.